Hi, I'm Deidre Humphreys Barker, and I'm the author of Mother of Orphans, The True and Curious Story of Irish Alice, a Colored Man's Widow, due out this spring. So I was asked to respond to 5 questions. The first one is describe your writing in 5 or fewer words. My writing is about mixed race family battles. 3 writers who have influenced me, I would have to say William Faulkner, Pearl Clegg, and James Baldwin. And what's the characteristic, best writing characteristic? I'd have to say I'm persistent. And what's the worst one? I'm lazy and flighty. You agree?
Thank you.
She agrees.
Hi, my name is Lisa Bond Brewer, and I am a poet as well as attempting to do fiction writing as well. So my 5 questions, this challenged me a little bit to try to describe my writings in 5 words or less. And I kept going back to Bernice McFadden, who I love, and she said, I write to breathe life back into memory. And if I had to choose, I would say that would be very close with what I try to do. But to come up with actual adjectives would be contemporary, lyrical, and imaginative, which is only 3. Okay, so top 3 most influential writers, again, very difficult. It would be E.E. Cummings, Nikki Giovanni, Octavia Butler. Best writing characteristics would be visual and lyrical in my writing. And then the worst writing characteristic is I tend to tell sometimes rather than describe. So that tends to be a challenge for me.
Hello, my name is Londa Lane, and I am a Brown Girls author. My current book is Butterfly Rising, which is a story about a young woman who is suicidal and her journey back from the edge of the river. And she does this with the help of a psychologist and a new love. So it's a Me Too story for the ages. So I'm supposed to answer some questions for you. My first thing I'm supposed to answer is describe my writing in 5 words or less. I'm a really prolific writer, so 5 words is hard for me, but I'll go with quirky, snarky, possibilities, heartfelt, and strong. I can't do 6, right? Okay. And I always like the possibility of a happy ending. My top 3 most influential writers would be Beverly Jenkins, because I'm a romantic. I love Tananarive Due because I like her really original horror. And Langston Hughes, because he's my favorite poet. Let's see. The best writing characteristic is that I am very prolific. I write a lot. Sometimes I'll sit and write 50 pages at one time. I have a lot of stories percolating in my head. The flip side of that is my worst writing characteristics. When I get into a slump, I am at the bottom of a cave and I can write nothing for months and months at a time. That doesn't happen that often, but when it does, I really feel like my talent is gone and I start to doubt my talent. And then it always comes back. So I am trying to always stay upbeat and positive, and thank you so much.
Karen Williams. I write short stories, and I'm taking on the task of writing screenplays now. My 6-point target areas are planning, writing, submission, group, community, marketing, and research. And my first big goal of this year is to finish a screenplay that I can publish. Thank you.
My name is Robin Pizzo, and I'm one of the SISTALOCK writers. I'm here to answer the 5 questions that the other ladies answered for you regarding my writing process and journey. So one of the first questions was describe my writing in 5 adjectives, and I would have to say that my writing is layered, is humorous, is heartfelt, is palpable, which was the very first rejection letter I ever received said that my writing was palpable, so I own that. And literary. I struggle with that because it's very difficult to define literary, but oftentimes people who critique my writing will say, oh, you definitely have a literary spin, and that's a goal of mine. The authors that I am most influenced by is Jasmine Ward. Shout out to Michigan, University of Michigan. And then long time, I've purchased every one of her books, read every one of her books, taught many of her books. Jacqueline Woodson and Nikki Grimes, because I'm a poet at heart. First love is poetry. Nikki Grimes. I also just am enamored by so many others, so it's very difficult to narrow down. And then the next question is, best thing about my writing is, I'm going to sing a song that my mother sings, an old church song that kind of, you know, summarizes the best thing about my writing, which is, I've got a river of life flowing out of me. Spring up a well within myself. So basically, that means that I have so many stories just constantly flowing out of me. It's hard to contain all of the stories, to get through each story so that I can really give it the care and time it needs to be the very best story it can be. It takes me a long time to process stories from beginning to end with revision and editing. And the well is just full with so many stories, so much life, and that's the best thing about me. I don't feel like I've ever had writer's block, or I ever run out of stories to tell or write. So that's one of the best things about my writing experience. The worst thing about my writing experience is the business side of it. Writing the synopsis, the summaries, the queries, the proposals, trying to make sure I correctly query. I don't query too much. You know, Twitter has the agents on Twitter has a whole list of rules that constantly pump out about what they don't want to see in a query. And we're just in the trenches trying to figure this out as we create our art. So that's probably the worst part, is that I would just rather create the art and not do the business side. But I'm learning every day. And thank you so much for watching. We are starting a YouTube channel, Pizzo's Perfection, because perfection isn't perfect. And we want you to subscribe. We'll be pushing out podcasts and SoundClouds all about the journey of writing, the journey of life, especially at this wonderful stage of over 40 and fabulous. So please follow along, continue to engage. Ask us questions. We plan to make these videos every single month. And if you ask us questions, we'll collect them and respond to them in our upcoming posts. Thank you.